Hello friends and welcome back to my channel for another video. This one's long overdue. I've been super busy with work. I recently drew an issue of a Marvel comic and I'll talk more about that as we get closer to release, but it took a lot of work. It was very logistically difficult. One of the harder comics I've ever drawn, and it took a lot of hours. So I didn't have any time to work on figures and make videos. I got it done, hit the deadline, now I'm back at it. Now I know I promised more custom Ninja Turtles and those are coming, they're in the works. But it's been over a month since I was able to post a video and I wanted to get something out. And I finally finished this custom Snyderverse display. This one I've been chipping away at for months and months. And it was a good one to get a quick video out on. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, now for those of you familiar with my channel, you know that I love to do these kind of like movie poster ensemble displays. And I like to have like a tiered setup. Here is my Nolan Batman one that you may have seen on here before. And I wanted to do something in a similar vein for all of the Snyderverse figures. You know, I really didn't like the Snyderverse when it was first starting. I thought Man of Steel was a great movie, but I didn't think it was a very good Superman movie. And then BVS was a big letdown for me and so on. But I always liked the character designs and the casting was always like pretty spot on. And so over time, you know, these figures were coming out and they're so good. And I just kind of started to embrace it. I was kind of like, you know what, screw it. It's what we got. I'm going to make the best of it. And over time, the movies actually did grow on me. It's not my preferred version of the characters. Like, I like a Superman who's less angsty, a little more classic Superman. But I think Henry Cavill is fantastic in the role. I think the movies look beautiful. I think they're well acted. And like I said, over time, like BVS really grew on me, especially the director's cut. I thought the Snyder cut of Justice League was actually pretty fantastic. So, and you know, I actually like Suicide Squad. I know it's not a great movie, but I had fun with it. And I thought, you know, the character designs were cool. I really actually like Jared Leto's Joker. So I thought, you know what? It's time to fully embrace it. I have all these other figures. Let me make my sort of definitive setup. Most of these are customs or customized in some way. A few stock ones, a few that are going to get replaced, a few that are going to get upgraded. And I'll talk about those as we go. So let's get in a little tighter and take a closer look. So the Justice League here are meant to look like the scene where they're coming out of Batman's flying fox and there's steam kind of coming out as the ramp opens up. I built the ramp out of Project Foam board and then I spray painted it this kind of metal silvery color, and then that cylindrical piece is actually just a wooden dowel. I have the Hot Toys Justice League Superman and Batman, and I used the stand they come with for reference. So I cut strips of sandpaper in the right shape and size that I wanted, and then I adhered them to the ramp. And then in the film, there are tie downs on the ramp, and I used these just kind of silver, I think they're like earring pieces that I got at Michael's. They're like, so you can make your own earrings. So it's literally almost like a little push pin, and it's just a silver disc. So those worked out pretty well. And then the strips on the side here are just styrene sheeting that I cut into strips and spray painted silver. For the background, I found a photo of the interior of the Flying Fox with the Justice League setup of the Batmobile on it, and it was pretty perfect. So I got it printed, and I used some cotton batting for the steam. And then the other background pieces behind Darkseid, that's just kind of like a fiery hellscape city that I found online. So behind Shazam here, I think I've got like concept art for Kahndaq from the movie, and I'm going to try to find the artist's name who did that and put it on the screen here. So for the figures, we've got my custom Justice League Batman. Basically, I darkened the undersuit a little bit, and then I repainted the face. Let's see if I can get in a little tighter here without knocking anything over. I actually did a video where I customized a BVS Batman, made an Alfred from BVS, and then also showed off this face paint. So there's another video on the channel. Wonder Woman is a stock Mezco. I'm going to be giving her quote-unquote rooted hair. I have a thing I do with yarn where I make hair out of it, and I'll show you that in a minute here. And then I'm going to repaint the face so that the likeness is better. I may also do a Fison body swap on her. We'll see. This Superman is a custom Justice League Superman. It's getting a little blown out, but from a distance, you can better see how I painted the silvery muscle groups on his suit. I repainted the suit. The hands are from the Maniple set of like the relaxed hands that came with this angry head. And then the head is the Mezco one that this is actually a knockoff Mezco body. And then the head is a blank cast from Action Figure Customs. I resculpted the hair, gave him a little piece of thread for the curl, and I repainted the face, and I wired the cape. I do have the Maniple Superman coming that is going to replace this, but I'm going to keep this head, I think, on it because I really like it. The Mezco one was actually a really great likeness, just not a great paint job. We've got the Mafex Cyborg behind there. I wish there was a better solution for Cyborg. This is a great figure, but it's just a little small. But, you know, he's in the back row, so hopefully that helps scale him a little better. That is the SH Figuarts The Flash, and I'm hoping to track down a Mezco one when that eventually releases. I don't really want the whole set, so I'm hoping I can find the Flash, just somebody selling it loose. That is the Mezco Aquaman, and that is going to get a repaint and my yarn rooted hair as well. In the back is my custom Shazam. I made it out of mostly Mezco parts and a McFarlane head. There is a video on the channel where I show off a bunch of DCEU customs that I made, and he is on there if you want to check that out. And then I have kind of a like Middle Eastern ruins steps sort of thing to match that background, and that is going to also host in that flight stand there the Present Toys, I believe it's Present Toys Dr. Fate when that comes out, or Magic Man I think they call it. And then I'm gonna make a custom Hawkman to go with them as well. Over here on the left, we've got the McFarlane Toys Dark Side. I haven't done anything to him. I do want to give him a little bit of silver dry brushing on his armor, and then maybe like a wash on the skin. But it's just a great figure out of the box, honestly. And that's the like exclusive gold label one I think I tracked down online. Then we've got a Steppenwolf that I repainted entirely. I chromed him up from head to toe. That took a long time. I had to break it up over several days. I repainted his face and his eyes. One of his eyes was actually like way low, so I had to like entirely redo that. And then he's holding a mother box, I think from the Mafex Cyborg. It's hard to see, but Steppenwolf here is on a base that is meant to mimic the one from inside that power plant thing that he's in. It's really hard to get an angle on that. But it's got like a strip with some studs on it that's meant to mimic the walkway that he's on in the movie. And then Darkseid is on this kind of like molten stone platform that I made. Those are pink insulation foam that are just painted to look like concrete, and then I, you know, used a series of warm colors to give it that kind of molten look. I wish I could get a better shot of that, but unfortunately, you'll just have to imagine the fire. There, that's a little bit better. You can kind of see it if I block this reflective glare here. And then what Steppenwolf is standing on. And then we've got the Nightmare setup. So that is the BMS Toys, V-Toys, Black Suit Superman, Steel Justice, I think. And that is the Maniple Angry Head. I'm not really a fan of Angry Superman, but for this context, it works. So this is the Mezco Nightmare Batman, but the head is the Muff Toys Batman head, the new release that just came out. On a base that I had him displayed on for a long time, so I just kind of added this as part of the whole diorama. Now the Nightmare Joker is one I made on the channel as well, and I thought about getting that new one that came out. I don't remember the company that made it, but it looks really tall, and also like I don't want to spend another $90 when I basically already spent money on the clothing and parts for this one. I am going to update the head though. I have a better Leto head sculpt, and I'm going to paint that and use that on here and make new hair for him out of different material. This was thread. This was green thread that I had, and it doesn't look that great. I'm going to do my yarn trick with this one as well. And then Cyborg here is just Mattel Cyborg. I got one loose, and then I put the McFarlane head on it. It actually scales pretty perfectly. I was even tempted to use it back there because it looks so good, but I might get another McFarlane one if I can find one loose for cheap, and then put that head on the Mafex body, because I tested that out and it actually looked really good. The McFarlane Cyborg head, that's one of the best likenesses they've ever done in their DC Multiverse line. So I was really impressed by that. And then the gun is from a Mezco Punisher. I used the McFarlane arm on the back there, and then the poncho is from GPS Lot on eBay. I know it's not accurate. It doesn't have pockets in the film, and it's like tattered and more of a brownish tan color, but I already had this one, so I said, you know what, that'll work for now. I'll eventually replace it, but I just wanted to get it in the display and make it look cool. I probably won't do the Flash or Deathstroke or Mira because I just don't have room. But if I did one, I'd probably make the Flash because I kind of have a recipe in mind. And I think the armor would be fun to make. But for now, this is how it's going to be. And then what might be my favorite part of this is the Suicide Squad. I really had fun making these figures, and I'm really proud of how they turned out. I did do a video on these 3 here. Harley is just a stock Mezco, but I did a video on my DCEU customs that included these and the Shazam back there. So if you're curious about what went into these, definitely check that video out. It's only a few videos back. I wanted Katana in there because I thought she was a pretty cool character in the film, even though she was only in it kind of briefly. And I bought a set of the Mattel ones, just, you know, used cheap on eBay because nobody wants those figures anymore. And so that's how I got pieces for Deadshot and for Killer, you know, Killer Croc was part of that group. So I had the Katana head and I was like, you know what? It's a decent sculpt. It's a little soft, but, you know, for the purposes of this, it'll work. So I repainted it and I got a 1/12 scale female body and some soft goods for it. I painted the jacket. So that was just a black jacket. And I put all these design pieces on it and made that little armband and stuff just with some leather paint. And then the sash and this tied thing in the back was actually like my wife bought a planter bed and the hardware for it came attached. You know, they like will often put a little box with all the screws and stuff, and then they'll have like a ribbon like that holding on to something. So she saved it for me because she knew I'm always using random bits of trash in my customs. And I saw it on the kitchen counter and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. I was trying to figure out what I was going to use for this, and there it was. So that was pretty cool. The sword is a third-party one. I need to look up who made it because I bought a bunch of them a while ago and I've used them in several customs now. And I'm out. So I need to figure out who made them, get some more. The knee pads, I actually cut off the Mattel figure and glued them onto her knees here. And then the boots are from a Mezco Catwoman. Yeah, I'm really stoked with how she turned out. Oh, and this is the yarn hair thing that I talked about. So basically, I'll take yarn and I will separate it into strands. Then I glue it to the head in the pattern of hair. So I've done that before. I did that with this Bond here. It's looking really blown out and way too blonde, but it is darker and more accurate in person. But yeah, it kind of gives you like this rooted hair look in miniature. So pretty stoked because I don't think anyone else does that, and it turns out pretty well for me. Yeah, and then the base they're on is a McFarlane Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines set. I was using this for something else in a display. It's like a DCEU version of the Red Sun universe with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And I was like, I think it's time to take those down. It's not really doing it for me anymore. And then I remembered that the Suicide Squad had that whole helicopter scene where it crashes and stuff. So I was like, this is perfect. And I just kind of figured out with the space I have how I was going to make them all fit. And I'm very, very pleased with the results. You know, one last note, I do get a lot of questions about what these shelves are. So these are from IKEA, and they don't seem to make them anymore. They were on back order during the whole pandemic. And then I don't think they carry them anymore, unfortunately. But they're metal shelving and they have glass panels in them. You can't see them because I have them all covered. But I went to this local place called Tap Plastics, and I believe they're a nationwide chain, but we have a couple here where I live. And I had them cut panels to the size of each of these shelves. And then I just glued magnets to the back of them. Some have come off. That's why you see a couple of magnets here. But they have enough on them that they just, you know, it holds it up pretty well. So as you can see, it's kind of like having like Maju cases, which is cool. I will be doing another collection tour soon. I just want to get a few more things dialed in before I do it, but it's long overdue. It's been about a year. But I have done one previously where you can see a lot of this stuff. And so if you're wondering like, oh, what is that? What is that car and all that? You can certainly ask in the comments, but I do talk about a lot of it on that video. I've also done videos on most of these. Like I did a video on this Blade car. I did a process video on John Wick and his Mustang there. I did a several part series on Knight Rider and Kit. I built this tumbler pretty early on the channel. You know, I did a review of the BVS Batmobile here, as well as kind of an overview of how I made this Batman. And, you know, this Matrix stuff. So you can check all of that out on the channel. So that is going to do it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I invite you to click the like button and hit subscribe and join me as I make cool stuff, custom figures, dioramas, vehicles to go with the figures. I review new stuff that I get on the channel. If you're looking for other ways to support this, I've got t-shirts available. My Head on Swivel shirt, as well as several other action figure and comic book themed shirts, are available in my Redbubble shop. If you've never used Redbubble, it's pretty great. You pick the color, shirt, the style, and the design you want, and they ship it right to you. Now, if you're not a t-shirt person, but you like comics, I've got several comics and graphic novels available, namely my books High Crimes, Count, and Retroactive. High Crimes is kind of Breaking Bad meets Cliffhanger. Retroactive is like James Bond meets Groundhog Day, and Count is my sci-fi reimagining of the Count of Monte Cristo. Think kind of a, John Wick meets Batman meets Zorro. It's a cool story with swashbuckling action and sword fights and vehicle chases, and it's about redemption, revenge, and revolution. So those are all available at your local comic shop, bookstore, or at the links in the description below. So to everyone who's picked up a shirt already or one of my books, thank you so much. Like, it means the absolute world to me, and I really, really appreciate it. It really helps make it so that I can do this kind of stuff and bring you more videos. Couldn't ask for anything more, so thank you. So that is going to do it for this one. Until next time, keep your head on swivel.